Okay, so for your bell work, what I want you doing is I want you to answer these two questions I have on the board. Who remembers the cell cycle? Which one you really don't have to answer. Write down as many steps as you can remember. And then in a couple seconds, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a hint as to what some of those steps might be. So go ahead and write down what you can remember. It doesn't have to be in the correct order. Just write down things that you remember. Come on, find a new page. Find your first new page. Let's go. Why didn't you have a pencil? You know you're supposed to come prepared. Okay, well, hurry up and find one for yourself. Thank you, Kareem. Okay, everyone, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. Okay, so there's your hint. Remember that those are the four middle phases of the cell cycle, which we call mitosis. There's one more step that comes at the beginning, and there's a step that comes after. But those are the four middle phases. Those are the first letters of each of them. Okay, now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to take a second. I'd like for you to confer with your elbow partner, take about a 1-minute discussion, and see what you can add. Talk to each other, see if they can help you. Oh, I like how Mehdi remembers his graphic organizer from before and is referring to it. That's a good idea, Mehdi. Good job. I'm hearing some good academic words there, everybody. A lot of our vocabulary words from before. You're going to hold it. You're going to take me. I'm going to go up there. You're the cameraman. Okay? So to focus in and out. Okay. Got it? All right. There you go, cameraman. All right. Who can tell me some things they know? Doesn't even have to be in the correct order. Go ahead, Tina.
Do I say them all?
Just say one thing for now.
Prophase?
Prophase. Okay. Switch prophase. So prophase is a step. And Mitchell, can you tell me a step?
Telophase?
Telophase. All right. That's also a step. All right, Jordan, can you tell me a step?
Oh, metaphase?
Metaphase. And then how about Mel? Can you tell me a step?
Anaphase.
Anaphase. Good. So we got those 4 phases of mitosis that we know are in the middle. If I had to put these in order, well, I'm not gonna rearrange them, we'll put numbers next to them. Which one would be first? Which step would be first? Go ahead, Joel.
Prophase would be number 1.
Prophase would be number 1, and then after prophase will come what, Nettie?
Monophase?
Metaphase. And then after metaphase would be, go ahead, Rena. Anaphase. And then telophase. So those are the 4 middle steps, but remember I told you a couple of seconds ago, for the cell cycle, we have something at the very beginning and at the very end. Does anyone remember what those things are? Emma? And it's cytokinesis, would that be at the beginning or the end? At the end. Okay, so these are not part of mitosis, but they are part of the cell cycle. And what would be that phase that comes at the very, very beginning? You got it, Kareem? Okay. Mahmoud?
Interphase.
Interphase. Good job. Okay. So, in your ISN, what I'd like for you to do, and you don't have to start a new sheet, you can just do it on the same page. What I want you to do is, I want you to put these 6 letters of the cell cycle in order. Okay? Just like what you see up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that Amoeba Sisters video again. I'll have the closed caption on so you can see the words. And I'm going to play it for you. And we're just going to review. And this time what I want you to do is I want you to try to write down 1 to 2 things for each one of these phases as the video is playing. And I'll pause a couple times to give you a second to catch up on your writing. Okay? Alright, Damon, can you hit the pause button?
A lot longer since the last time you cut them. Or let's say you're looking in the mirror and you notice that you are a lot bigger than you were when you were 5 years old. What do all of these things have in common? One major thing they have in common is mitosis. Mitosis is a type of cell division done by most of your body cells, and it's really important for cells to divide. If they didn't divide, you wouldn't grow. I mean, how do you grow if you can't make more cells, right? So one reason why you're bigger than you were when you were 5 is mitosis. Mitosis also is great for repair of damage. If you have some kind of accident, like when we were talking about that cut on your arm or leg, well, you want to make sure it gets repaired well. So you have to make more cells to do that. Mitosis is great for that. Now, it's really important break mitosis, unfortunately, but it's a different process. Mitosis is done to produce body cells. Mitosis makes identical cells. That is the goal, identical cells. So if you're trying to make more skin cells to replace worn out or damaged skin cells, you don't want to start suddenly making stomach cells there. That would be ridiculous. You want to make sure you have identical cells replacing what was lost. So mitosis makes identical cells. It's a really important thing. Now it's also important to understand that your cells are not dividing all the time. If all they did was divide, it would just be rapid, crazy growth. In fact, this is kind of what cancer is. Cancer is uncontrolled cell growth. We have a foot on the cell cycle and what the cell is usually doing most of its daily life, which is actually a phase.
All right, so we haven't talked about any of the phases yet. We're about to, so that kind of paused conveniently. But what are some reasons why our body goes through mitosis? What are some reasons why our body goes through mitosis? Kareem? Say that one more time.
To heal wounds.
To heal wounds, good. What's another reason, Amen?
To grow.
To grow. And Ryan? You want me to come back to you? Okay. Atul?
Like nails growing.
Nails growing. Okay. One more. Kareem?
Create muscles.
All right. Create more cells. Very good. So if you can look up there, I see the word interphase. So that kind of lets me know that we have some stuff coming up, right? Okay, go ahead, Mahmoud. You can hit the screen.
It's called interphase, where it's growing and replicating its DNA, carrying out its daily cell functions. That's where cells spend most of their time in respect to the whole cell cycle. Mitosis is a very short amount of time in respect to the whole cell cycle, but mitosis is a critical process because this is where it is going to divide and make more cells. Before we get into the steps of division, it's really important to understand that your cells have something inside them, an organelle called the nucleus. And the nucleus holds your DNA. DNA is really important because it's your genetic information. And if you're going to make more cells, you need to have the same DNA in those new cells as you did in your original cells. You want it to be identical, no mistakes, very important. The problem is you've got a lot of DNA. We've got to get that DNA into the new cells using mitosis. So there has to be a better way to organize that DNA. Well, what actually happens is that DNA can be organized into these condensed units called chromosomes. Chromosomes are made of DNA and protein. You've probably heard before that humans have 46 chromosomes. That means 46 chromosomes are found in most human body cell nuclei. What are nuclei? Well, it's the plural of nucleus. You don't say nucleus in toothpaste, nuclei. Well, in the nuclei, there are 46 chromosomes. Organizing DNA into condensed chromosomes makes it a lot easier to move over when you're making new cells. So if you have 46 chromosomes in a human body cell, you have to duplicate those chromosomes in interphase before mitosis starts. That basically means you're duplicating your DNA, since chromosomes are made of DNA and protein. You have to do this before mitosis starts because if you're going to make an identical cell that has 46 chromosomes, just like the original.
Okay, so we're done watching the video. We've taken our notes. Now we're going to read our content and our language objectives so we know what we're doing today. Where are my Michigan fans? Michigan fans, raise your hands. Okay. Michigan fans, since you're my people, you get to read the shorter stuff. So you're reading the underlined stuff. And where are my Sparties? All right, Sparties. Sparties, you get to read the stuff that's underlined on the content objectives. Okay? So let's read the first one, and I'll read the stuff that's not underlined too. Okay? So Wolverines, you're reading the stuff that's not underlined. Sparties, you're reading the underlined. Okay? All right, here we go. I can
Understand
by. So what we're gonna do, and what our a little assessment is gonna be at the end, is I'm gonna give you the cell cycle cut up. You're gonna have a set of words, a set of pictures, and a set of definitions, and you're gonna have to sort them into the right piles so everything matches up. Now let's read the second one the same way. Ready, Michigan people? I can. No. Sorry, you guys are reading the language objective. Let's read the second content objective, where it says I can. I can. Of the
cell cycle
using common materials. And now we're going to switch it up. This time we'll be nice. We'll let the Sparties read. I even wrote it in green for you. We'll let the Sparties read the ununderlined stuff, and the Wolverines, we'll read the underlined stuff this time because we want to keep it fair. You're still part of our state. So you ready? Go ahead.
I can
Write and orally explain the steps of the cell cycle, summarizing each part using bullet points. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to. So the directions tell us, it says, using your textbook pages 44 and 45 and other classroom resources. I did put the Amoeba Sisters video in your Google Classroom. You are going to find a image of the cell cycle, which has all 6 phases. And using the image you found, you're going to create a model of the cell cycle. So if you notice, if you look at the materials, each group is going to get 6 Oreos, and I'm going to give you 2 tablespoons of sprinkles, and then I'm going to give you guys a couple of toothpicks. What are the toothpicks made for? What are we using them for? Kareem?
I think we'll do like those thing with the Oreos where you're gonna break up the Oreos,
Mm-hmm. What are we not using the toothpicks for?
putting it in our mouth.
Putting it in our mouth, touching other people with them. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So you're going to use the directions, and each one of those Oreos is going to be a phase of the cell cycle, and you have to make a model of it using pages 44 and 45 in your book. And if you look at the chart on your worksheet, it says summary of important events. Okay? There, you're going to tell me 2 to 3 things about each step of the cell cycle. And you may use your book for that. You may also use the video. Okay? We're going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to show you up here on the active board. So there's 3 in a group. And today we're going to have different roles, and we're going to switch those roles up. So we're going to have a researcher. So the researcher is going to look up important information from your science book on page 44 and 45 for each of those phases. A builder, that's the person that's going to make the model. And then there's a summarizer. That's the person that's going to write down on the chart. So you are going to be able to be the researcher for 2 of the phases, the builder for 2 of the phases, and the summarizer for 2 of the phases. So you get a turn at each one. And if there's 2 in your group, you get to do 3 and 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to let you guys get started. I'm going to start coming around. First, I'm going to come around with the cookies, okay? Remember, you're using the icing, so you have to twist them off carefully. We will eat at the end if there's time. So if we get to eat depends on how on task you are. Okay? All right, I'm gonna come around. Okay, are you guys labeling your phases on there too? I should see your phases labeled at the top. Who's the researcher? So Abdullah, you should be researching what happens in the phase and who is the summarizer. Okay, Abdullah, you should be telling Trevor what he needs to write on the paper for the first 2 phases. Remember, you're only building 2, right? You build 2, you summarize 2, you research 2.
But then the so green, blue, orange, and yellow for this one.
Remember, you guys have to research and summarize and tell me 2 to 3 things for each step too.
Put the 2 and then they'll put the other 2.
Mahmoud, can you move your arm a little tiny bit? You guys are doing really good. You're on task. Just remember, you have to give me 2 to 3 bullet points for each thing as well. Okay? Yeah, you can write it in the box. That's perfect. I love the way you guys have yours set up.
Try to
Let's get on camera. Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
Can we use this one?
Yep, pages 44 and 45.
Okay, so
Make sure you give me 2 to 3 bullet points for each phase. You have to label your phases too. Could you guys, to speed up, split up the little, instead of just Batul working, maybe Emma works on 2 phases building, and Raina, you could pick 2 phases and build those so you're all building at the same time. Mehdi, what can you do to help speed up the process? What's your job? Pardon?
researcher.
Researcher, so what are you researching? What phases? What 2? Talk to your group. What 2 phases are you researching? And then you can be telling Chad what to write on on the lab sheet. So tell me what I'm looking at the metaphase, Malik. Tell me what I should be seeing. What did you model?
I made 2 sprinkles shaped in X's.
Okay. And you have them arranged a certain way?
Yeah, they're going down in a straight line.
How did you know to put them down in a straight line?
Because in the picture it shows X and going straight up.
Because meta reminds you of middle, so you know to line them up down the middle? That's a very good answer. Good job.
All right, last call for pictures. Anybody who needs to get their picture taken. I know 8th graders were in lunch, may not have heard the announcement, but the last call for pictures. Bring pictures in the auditorium if you have been overlooked. Please do that now. Thank you.
All right. Excellent progress, girls. See you catching up. Remember, you guys have your lab sheet to do, so your summarizer and your researcher can be working on that too.